Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Dugout Mug Studios. This is a Variety Sports Network production. This is the seventh inning stretch.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Thursday night here with you, Josh Edwards, as always. And again, Ryan Swift from BSing Sports. We were just talking before we got on. It was right before the regular season started. We were talking a little of your Phillies. Tonight, we're at the end of May. Your Phillies are on an incredible run right now to start the season. What a better opportunity to get you on right now to talk Phillies, get a little thoughts on the NL East there. Ryan, how you doing out there, sir?
Fantastic, especially being a Phillies fan. I'm doing fantastic.
I like it, man. And I was thinking about this. I got it right here. Let's go right to the meat and potatoes of the show here. All right. So, obviously you guys got off to one of the, 51 games now, I know, but 50, that was where you're at, 50 games into the season, best start in franchise history. No shock there. I remember the 2001 Mariners team vividly because that was the A's team that was the team they were going against during that time there. I want to know, as you're seeing this team, as this played out live here, as we get Jordan on joining us as well here on the show here, what's your thoughts just immediately, expectations into the season and where they're at right now?
Definitely better than expectation, right? You can't ever expect a season like this. It doesn't matter how good your team is, right? The Dodgers with Shohei and all their talent probably didn't expect this kind of season. So I as a Phillies fan, did not expect this kind of season. Moving forward, I don't expect this to continue either. I know there's a lot of talk about the Phillies schedule. I'm sure we'll get into that in a little bit, but even as the schedule could remain the same, I don't expect it to continue. This is a very historic pace that they're on right now, but it's fun to watch, kind of enjoy it while it's going on.
Jordan, thanks for joining the show here. Prime Jordan, as we call him.
Give me 1 second. I can't.
You take as many seconds as you need there. We got Ryan Swift on here. Ryan, these are my three keys right here. Then I'll let Josh, you play off it as well after this. 3 reasons why the Phillies are the best in baseball. They've been locked in for, not many teams are locked in for this amount of time. Like every game seems to really matter. And that doesn't happen in Major League Baseball that often anymore. Like that, they are locked in. It seems like every game they have, and the pitching, obviously, the depth of your team is ridiculous right now. You mentioned the schedule, but that doesn't matter to me early on. You still play the games. And they don't get rattled. You guys have come back I think 20 times I saw when the other team scored first. Obviously, you guys don't care about that either, and we've seen that in the playoffs play out over the years as well. I don't know. What do you think of some of those reasons right there that I just call out? Do you believe those?
Yeah. So to me, the 2 big things that have really stood out to me during this really great stretch is the pitching. Both the starting rotation and the bullpen. I mean The Phillies going into the season, I remember this, had the MLB Power Rankings best bullpen in the majors, and I kind of laughed at it. I was like, there ain't no way. I was like, there's a handful of bullpens I'm taking over the Phillies right now. And to my surprise, they've shut me up about that. There is no bullpen better than the Phillies right now. You can't make that argument, regardless of who they've played. I mean, it's hard to have multiple dudes. I'm talking like 5 or 6 guys with an ERA under 2.5 in the bullpen. I mean, when the Phillies have a lead going late into the game, the game's over. It's very 2008-esque. I don't know if you guys know this. When the Phillies won the World Series in 2008 during the regular season, they went 82-0 when leading after 8 innings. It has that very same similar feeling to it. Obviously we won't statistically have that same thing, but it gives me the same kind of confidence going into the late game when the bullpen's coming in. And then of course the starters, Ranger Suarez has been the second best starter in Major League Baseball behind Imanga. I'll tip my cap where it's due. But Ranger Suarez has been the second best starter in baseball. No question about it. And Wheeler, is kind of nipping at his heels. The only really sorry thing about the Phillies rotation is that we had to pull Spencer Turnbull while he was having, a career best 7-start run for Taijuan Walker, who surprisingly has I saw a stat during his start yesterday that said he has the most wins in the first 34 starts of a Phillies career since Roy Halladay. And
That is
Taiwan
cool.
Walker has done it in a very unconventional, not very pretty way, but he's won 18 games and 34 starts for the Phillies. So,
Josh, what do you make of that? I'll let you get in on this there. What do you make of the Phillies here with it?
And so I think part of it has to do with, like you said, they're locked in. They look like a playoff ready team already. They're not missing anything. Every cylinder is firing full force. I mean, I got to play the team, or my boys have to play the team in 2 weeks, and we've been kind of hot recently. I'm like, man, if we get through the next two series and then we got to play the Phillies, it might just destroy everything we've gotten going to rebuild our season. But I think it's the cheesesteaks, man. I think it's the Philly cheesesteaks. They are the best sandwich in the world, and I think that drives this team to be better than everybody else right now. They're feeling it, man. We didn't predict it. I mean, we didn't. I mean, we said the Phillies were going to probably finish second or third in the division. We thought it was clearly going to be Atlanta.
Third is disrespectful. I thought they were very clearly the second best team.
Josh, we're not going to. Do we want to say the team you had maybe second? Do we want to?
I don't remember if I had them second or not.
If you say the Mets, you can escort yourself off the show.
Right about.
I thought the Braves were going to be the team. Like, I thought they had it, and I thought the Phils. I never saw this coming out of the Phils. So
now it's May.
It's fun to watch.
And
it's
anything can happen. But
yeah. I mean, anything can happen. It's a long season. I mean, but we're a third of the way through almost, and they look like a team to beat.
Jordan, you feel that same way? Turn your mic on.
There we go. So, can you guys hear me?
Yep,
now
we gotcha. You feel the same way about the Phillies here?
Oh, I actually had the Phillies winning the East this year with the Braves coming in second, mainly because of their rotation, and also a very underrated guy on their rotation. I'm a huge fan of. I just think that is going to be carrying them a lot, but then also they have that high-end quality offense as well. Granted, injuries and all this other stuff, don't want to have those happen. But I do have the Phillies. I had the Phillies leading. I'm sorry, I jumped into the middle of this. I've been having technical difficulties, so I don't know what you guys all said because I can't.
You're good. Jordan, your phone's breaking up. Try to jump back on here. We'll try to see if we can have it happen here.
But yeah, real quick, the last piece I want to touch on, and I talked a lot about the pitching, is the bench, right? Especially with Trey Turner going out. Edmundo Soso's hitting 290, has hit a couple clutch home runs. And then Cody Clemens, of course, he's hitting above 300. And I compared him to Greg Dobbs from the 2008 season, who at the time set a major league record for pinch hits in a season with 22. I just get a lot of, great pitching, good defense, greatly timed hitting. The offense, has been a bit of a concern in some of these games. We've had some hot, some cold, a little bit more hot recently, but earlier in the streak, it was carried a lot by the pitching. So, but all in all, I mean, they're playing great team baseball right now.
I feel like in your voice, though, it sounds like you're a little pessimistic about the start of it. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm reading into it a little bit, but you can tell me if I'm wrong. I just feel like maybe you're just like me. You're like, this is too good to be true type of thing, maybe too. And it's hard to buy in. And I agree, you know what I mean? You don't want to start too hot too early. There is that. We have all played. There's that theory that belongs. So is that where you're kind of at with this team? Or to me, it feels like you guys are pretty, I don't know, you feel rock solid in the sense of that you've had this path where you've had Harper here since 2019, I believe, or was it 18? Mm-hmm. And you've built it up. You had that loss. You had that run where you had that devastating loss last year in Game 7, and you're highly motivated. And I feel like that's where they're picking up right now. That's what it feels like. You obviously see them on an everyday basis. Is that where some of that's stemming from, or is it just that Alec Baum is on fire?
So I tend to be a little bit more even-keeled than most people. I try not to get emotional about these things. And the reality is, in my lifetime, I've watched the Mets blow a 7-game lead with 17 left to play in 2007. And we don't have 17 left to play. We have 117 left to play. So there's just a lot of time. And while, we can tip our cap and give our roses to the way that the Phillies have played right now, in reality, they could lose 8 of 10 and the Braves could take over the division because, even with Spencer Strider going out, the Braves are still very much a threat to win this division. They're still one of, if not, the best teams in the NL, and still got to overcome the Dodgers, right? We still got to get to the playoffs. And, ultimately the 08 team I saw one of my buddies who runs a podcast for Philadelphia talking about, is this team better than the 08 Phillies? Well, if they win a ring, maybe, but right now the 08 team has this.
And that
Ball in your court.
Josh.
I mean, I remember the 08 team because that was Ryan Howard, right?
That was Howard, Utley. It was carried by it was almost the exact opposite, right? You had Hamels in the rotation and then a bunch of mid guys, and it was carried by the offense.
Yeah, that was the big offensive team. It wasn't the pitching. This team's doing it a little bit different because they're doing it as a well-rounded machine. It's not just one part of the team carrying them. My question is Bryson Stott real? Like, is he finally turned into the player that they hoped he was going to be? Is he going to exceed expectations? What are your feelings on him right now?
On fire.
My feeling, so there's been Rob Thompson, Philly being Philly, has given Rob Thompson a lot of slack for two big things, and that is Bryson Stott and Brandon Marsh not playing every day. Now, I don't think Brandon Marsh is an everyday player. I will go on the record saying that. He has a career OPS of like 560 against lefties. He should not be playing against left-handed pitchers. That is a very good decision. The same cannot be said about Bryson Stott because he actually has reverse splits. He is a better hitter against lefties for his career than righties. But that being said, go back to the playoffs against the Marlins last year, the Grand Slam where the entire stadium sung his walk-up song. That should tell you all you need to know. Everything about Bryson Stott from that point moving forward, has shown a lot of growth. And at 26 years old, can him and Trey Turner can cement themselves as arguably the best middle infield duo in the National League. They have that chance once Turner comes off the IL, if Turner ever decides to bring it back to Philadelphia with him.
That's the funny thing Turner's been out with. Turner's been out a little bit of this run. Tyler McGurk joining us here with that. How you doing, my friend? Your thoughts on the Phillies? You've played them, obviously, this year with the Giants fan. They're going to play them, I think, this weekend, right? I think that's who you guys play, right? Memorial. So you get a rare 2:05 start out here on Memorial Day. What's your thoughts of the Phillies here?
Just well-rounded. They're exceeding expectations. I didn't expect them to be this good. I thought they were more of a playoff, tough team to get out, a regular season, low 90s win team. It's looking like a 110-win team if the pitching keeps doing this with Zach Wheeler. And then Ranger Suarez just looks like Tom Glavine this year. The guy doesn't miss a spot, and if he does, it's low. I don't know. Those top two guys I was very impressed with. And then the order, if they get Trey Turner back, and with Bryce Harper and what Alec Boehm's doing in the middle of the order, it's just a well-rounded team that's going to be a tough out. And I don't see them slowing down. Maybe a little, but they're going to win 100 games.
They're just on apps.
That's a big statement.
Jordan, good to get you back on it. It sounds like we got better connection there with it. The Mariners team is that. I'm telling you, that team to me is like, they won 116 games. Like, that's the team that sticks out when I see hot starts. Is like, just that's what it was. They didn't lose 2 games in a row until September 22nd, which is insane to think about. Like, that's how good of a run that team was on to get to 116. So for when people say, like, could they make a run, I go, it's a pretty hard thing to get to. Jordan, I hope the connection is better here. Let's get your thoughts on the Phillies, and then I got a different thought out. I'm going to take it a different angle after that. Go ahead.
Okay, so you guys can hear me fine now?
We got you now.
Yeah, you sound good. You're clear.
Awesome. My settings were all out of whack. My apologies. So I don't know what you guys heard from me. Did you guys hear my
We heard absolutely nothing.
prediction? Okay.
We heard that you said the Phillies were going to win the division, the Braves were going to finish second. That's all we got.
Yeah. So thank you. So basically, yes, the Phillies were going to win the division. I had that from the beginning of the season. I will have to bounce off of the Bryson Stott's discussion. I think he's one of the better players that are very undervalued. Well, not undervalued, underrated on that team. Not a lot of people look at him when it comes down to being the catalyst that can really change the game. Just like that walk-up song that you were talking about in the playoffs. That was literally chills when that actually happened.
Yeah.
But this is like my main thing. When it comes down to the best team with the best overall record, this is the question. I'm not sure on the answer to this. When was the last time the best team truly won the World Series? Like record wise.
That's
Maybe
the
one
thing.
of
Me
those
and Tyler-
Astro years would be my guess.
Was it the
Astros-
Astros
Like
years?
2017,
Astros
maybe?
beating the Phillies. That one year was that the best? Was that
I don't know that the Astros had the best record in the majors that year.
I'm on.
No, I don't
I'm
think they
actually
did that
on.
year.
I'm on baseball.
That's a good
reference
question.
right now, so
Well,
I can look it up.
my thing is on that is when it comes down to teams playing this hot, it's a worrisome because a lot of people are going to know, and not know. A lot of those players are going to be tired upon October comes around versus the other teams that aren't going to. That I don't know. I just feel like having the best record in baseball is tougher to prove that you're the best. Look at the Dodgers, for example. How many championships have they won in the last 15 years? They won
no
one,
real
and it
one.
was a shortened season.
That one doesn't even count.
Yeah, no real
So
ones.
I mean,
Thank you, Josh.
well, hey, I was just making a point. But do I see this Phillies team maintaining this? Unfortunately, I do not. I still see them winning the division, but their pitching has to regress at some point. I feel like that's like there has to be some sort of regression with Ranger. Like there's
And
no
that-
freaking way he's
Jordan-
pitching this good.
Jordan, I had that on there. That's what was kind of where I wanted to go with this next. So you're right on point. Thanks for reading the notes. I like it, my man. I feel like that's where I want you. So you're with me on this. That he's one of those guys. When you get off the hot start, you're like, my God, this guy's unreal. Then you're like, who is this? Who's this guy in the second half? And they come back to life. I think Suarez is better than that. I think he has the stuff, but like, man, it scares me, guys. Like when you get to it, like Ryan, are you feeling that same way with him? Or are you like, no, this guy is it. He can sustain this run. Obviously, can't go 9-0, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I don't think the current pace he's at is sustainable. I think we've seen part of Rangers' issue over his career so far is he hasn't been able to stay healthy, and then part that kind of leads into the fact that he just hasn't been able to build off of season after season after season. The way he was utilized in the postseason in 2022, the way he's utilized in the postseason in 2023, obviously the Phillies have faith in him as a pitcher, and I think he's come up clutch in some big spots. So do I think he's finally going to come to his full potential? Yes. Do I think he is completely overperforming and, really at the peak right now? Absolutely. Does that scare me? For sure. Because I'd rather see this in September and October than April and May.
Tyler, I got to ask you this. Do you still feel like, because like you've seen this with the Giants, like at times when at the end of the season, you're like, yeah, Cody Ross, what a player. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you get these like runs from like
that would stun Ryan.
that aren't even like necessarily good players. And like, I think Alec Baum has that like sentiment going on, but like, I feel like this is the other guy with Suarez is that you guys have talked about. I feel like that's where he's the offensive side of like a career year that takes a team like this to that ridiculous level of like a possible 110 win season. Do you feel that same way about him?
I like both those players a lot. I think it just took them a little while to mature into the players they were. I saw glimpses of Bohm even like 2 years ago, and I was like, this guy gets some. He wasn't well received at first at times, was he, Ryan? Because of his bad defense.
So his 3 errors in one, ever since that 3 errors in one game and mouthing, I fucking hate this place. Like his whole career has just been on an entire different trajectory.
That's what I
forgot he said it like that.
That's perfect for a guy in Philly, though.
I even
It
saw that
works
he's
with
in
the
the
fans.
top like 85 percentile in like distance covered on defense this year. Like it's just absurd, right? Like Alec Bohm has always done one thing very well in his entire career, and that's hit with runners in scoring position. He's got over a 320 average in his career with runners in scoring position. It's the one thing you've ever been able to count on. And now he's putting the rest of the game together. I swear, for a guy who's 6'4", if he could put on like 10 more pounds and hit 25 home runs, like this guy would be in MVP conversations.
Yeah, 320 with 20 doubles, 50 games into this. I'm not gonna say I saw this coming, but I thought he was a good player when he was getting some hate. And then Ranger Suarez literally reminds me of Tom Glavine, like I mentioned before. He's low 90s, and his changeup is absolutely filthy. it just seems unhittable when he just has been placing it where he's at. So I think both these guys will obviously 1.36 is a little bit too much. Like he's not going to finish there, but I don't expect him to creep above 2.4. I think he'll finish around there by the end of the year.
I mean, God. Josh, I want to go to you next because one of the first shows I remember watching on Seventh Inning Stretch, Ryan was on, and I believe I want to say this guy got hired like probably a week before Ryan was on the show. Like I remember, like it was right around that time you guys had him on, and I remember listening to that episode, and you don't hear about him at all. I was like, "This is Robbie Thompson." I had to look it up. Like, it's not Robbie from the Giants. It's a different guy. You know, he's always been. How much of success does a manager get? He took over a team that they didn't make the playoffs, and you know, I believe it was mid-season. Was it May? Ryan, help me out.
It was actually.
It was early.
3 years ago today. It was right after a series against the Giants. It was coming off of a win that we fired Joe Girardi against the Giants.
That's who it was. Okay. I couldn't remember. Well, good timing on that part today.
And for what it's worth, this is how unsung Rob Thompson is. You spelled his name wrong.
Damn it, Josh. We talked about it.
We did. We talked about it on pre-show.
I said Ryan will grammatically correct me on one thing tonight. I said, thank you, Ryan. This makes the show better tonight.
No P.
Cut that.
Right
before we can, because last time I spelled league wrong, and you're like league, and I was like, oh damn it, he got me on that one. So good job, he got me again. Next episode 2 months from now, Ryan, grammatical errors with Darren Breyer. We'll do that next with it. Josh, the manager with it. Big deal or no deal? And then I'll get to Jordan's thoughts on it.
I think he's been underappreciated for what he's done with this team. I mean, there have been some roster changes since Girardi got let go and Thompson took over. But, I mean, come on. I mean, the guy's got to get credit. I mean, this team has just gotten better and better every year. They've been more and more competitive. And it looks like this year they've finally put it all together. Now, I don't know if you credit Bryce Harper and Schwarber and Stott and Bohm and Wheeler. And I don't know if you just credit all the players or if you give the manager any of the credit at all. I don't know how it is in Philly because I've never got to live there and I probably never will. But I know it's a tough fan base. Are they giving him any love? I mean, Ryan, you would know more than we do.
For the way he handles the bullpen, for the most part, he gets a lot of love, and I would agree with that. These lineups that he's putting out on a day-to-day basis, though, I mean, when we see a lefty on the mound, and I see guys like Pache and Sosa, and you know, I just see a bunch of right-handed bats and guys who should be on the bench, and then somehow we score. You know, everybody in Philadelphia is pissed off, and then we score 8 runs and win the game. And it's like, God, we really can't hate this guy, can we? Like, he's just putting this lineup together of no names, and all we're doing is winning this year. For the most part, like I said, I would like to see Stott become a full-time, everyday player. But, you know, the way that he's mixed and matched the outfielders as far as pitching, we're you know, the best team in the league with the best record in the league for reasons. So he's doing something right. We'll keep complaining about it, though. We're real spirited.
Well, that's Philly for you. But would you say he's more old school, or would you say he's more analytically driven?
Analytically driven, absolutely. Just based on the way that he plays his matchups, it's actually, you know, I say that, and now I'm thinking about it. A lot of it is tied to old school too. So I'd say he's probably a pretty good mix, right? You know, He really is dedicated to lefty righty. But at the same time, you know, he's not Dave Roberts breaking everything down to like the FIP and, you know, batting average, balls in play kind of thing. You know, he'll look at his lefty, he'll look at his righties, you know, kind of make the lineup from there and you know, pitching matchups from there and then go from there. But it's, you know, it also helps when everybody's playing really well.
Well, yeah, but so you would agree that he's found how to use the analytics as a tool and not a Bible, like some of these other managers have, and he's still going with his gut instinct and the eye test. Stop. We're not talking about that team tonight. You missed that episode.
Sorry,
he's integrating both things together. Oh, well, thank you for Romero, because the Sosa-Romero trade really worked out for everybody. He's probably one of the best trades, like for both teams I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah. I would agree.
So, I mean, thank you for that.
Yeah,
off the Cardinals.
Jordan, I want to as we move the conversation along here from the Phillies to, we can stay with the Phillies here, but I want to get into like as I kind of said in my little short video that I said, a very consistent division. And when I say consistent, I'm talking about one team, and that's the Atlanta Braves. That's the other team in this division that is in the back of Mr. Ryan's mind here, because they're not going to go anywhere. They're just going to be there. And if you guys drop the play, like you said, lose it 8 out of 10, then that's the fear. That's also the motivation to continue to play at just an extreme high level. So they can go both ways. So I'm curious to see where the Phillies take it. But Jordan, let's get your thoughts on that. Where do you see the Braves in this? Do you see they're right there. They're like 6 games out of the Phillies are on a great little pace. Where do you think with it?
No. It's for sure gonna turn out to be a neck and neck match on who wins the division at the end of the year. I still got the Phillies, but Ronald Acuna, Matt Olson, Ozzy Al. I wouldn't say Ozzy Albies. I'll just say these 2 people. Matt Olson and Ronald Acuna have both started off at a very, very, very slow start. I don't see that sustaining. I see them ramping it back up closer to around this time, closer to the All-Star break. They're going to probably go back to their old form. And then also, I like how you mentioned Max Fried and then Chris Sale. So Max Fried at the beginning of the season was horrible. He was not a good pitcher at the start, and he's trying to find his rhythm. Chris Sale's pitching as of like how he was when he was in Chicago. I see nothing but a quick back and forth, maybe a bunch of different number ones flipping back and forth with this division itself. But I think that the Braves are for sure going to be a threat to the Phillies this season on winning the division. I still got the Phillies, but it's not going to be an easy journey for them.
Tyler, where do we get to? Let's get to you before we get to the jersey up right here. Where do we got to?
I mean, the Braves are going to be there. The hitting hasn't hit at all. They get Sean Murphy back soon.
Matt Olson killing Susie's fantasy team out there. Killing.
I think the Sean Murphy addition adds a lot, and then Acuna will get going. He's one of the best players in the league. But the pitching for the Braves has just been outstanding, which has kept them within distance of the Phillies. So I do think they'll battle their way in there. I think the Phillies are a better team, actually. I just think it's more well-rounded. I think the bullpen, while it can get every bullpen can get a little dangerous at times, I think it's better than the Braves bullpen. I don't trust Raisel Iglesias more than I trust anybody in the Phillies bullpen. So I think the Phillies hold on. It'll be a good run though. The Braves will push them.
No doubt. Susie, I think Matt Olson will get it going. He's one of the streakiest players in all of it. He's like the Ryan as a fan that watched him for many years and days, and he is as streaky as it gets. So Ryan, what do you think of the Braves? You're the one I'm real curious here with it. Obviously, they've been the nemesis your whole life. So what's your thoughts on them?
Well, first off, I respect the Braves, right? It's not like the Mets. I can't stand the Mets. Let's get that out there.
Aaron, where are you at?
I respect the Braves. Obviously, a lot of their core is homegrown talent. And Acuna, to Tyler's point, has to get it going at some point, right? You've seen Olsen kind of go a little up and then a little bit down. But as I posted on Twitter the other day, man, Chris Sale, when he was with the White Sox, was one of my favorite pitchers in the majors. And then obviously he went through the slew of injuries when he was with Boston. And then my heart just sank when he signed with the Braves, because then I was like, I got to hate this guy now. And the signing was really low risk, high reward, 2 years, $38 million. And here he is, just happened to regain his form. He doesn't touch 98, 99 anymore, but that slider is still very, very devastating. He still flips the changeup in there when he needs to. And he's just regained his form all of a sudden after the last, 4 fairly, we'll say, I don't want to call them average, because he still finished with a 3.27 ERA for his career in Boston, but they were very subpar years for Chris Sale. So, him refining his form, Max Fried being out there, those two picking it up for Spencer Strider's loss has been massive for this team. And, every time I look at, the Phillies' last 10 games, I see 6-4, 7-3. And for a long time, it was the Braves were 7-3 and 8-2 in their last 10. I'm like, Christ, we can't get rid of this team. So they'll be down there at the end of the season. It'll be a battle. I'm still not 100% convinced the Phillies will win the division, but I'm going to enjoy every second of the season.
Might as well right now. This is like, as a baseball fan, too, like when you have a really good team, it's like there's nothing better than the next day. Like, all right, we know we're gonna get a win, brother. All right, let's see how we do it. Like we're down in the seventh inning. We're probably gonna get hit somehow. It's the best. Josh, I'm gonna send this question to you, and then we'll go to Jordan next with it here as we kind of you get your thoughts on the Braves here if you want it. What team do you trust the most then here as we go to transition from that maybe the East to the National League here as a thing? We got Phillies, Dodgers, Braves. Who are you trusting the most here in this out of these three so far?
So I trust the Braves the most.
Wow.
And this goes back to the fact that team is mostly homegrown. They have a really strong core. I trust that organization. I just do. The Dodgers to me are just a super team. They got put together with a bunch of good players who are there to play together and try to go win championships. So I don't trust that because it's not homegrown. It's not built together. I would trust the Phillies more than I even trust the Dodgers even. Because I think if the Dodgers start to crack, I think the foundation is not strong enough to hold that team together. That's kind of where I'm at on the Dodgers. I think the Braves and the Phillies are both stronger foundationally, and that leads me to be more on their side than the Dodgers.
Seems
to be happy for the Phillies sweep there. What do you think, Jordan, of that question there?
I think it's really simple for me personally. I think it's the Dodgers, because like as much as Josh says about the homegrown stuff, it don't matter if you have yourself a good team or a homegrown team that's solid. In my opinion, but Braves have made it work somehow with their voodoo magic, same as the Rays. And no, I do agree with what Logan said over in the comments, saying the Braves are what Josh wishes the Cardinals would be, and that's what I wish the Cardinals would be. 100%.
I wish my
that's what the Cardinals always were.
I wish
the Braves are partial to the A's. They do have a lot of A's, former A's.
I will say I do wish the Cardinals had the same mindset because we would still have Jordan Walker on the team, but that's besides the point. But no, the Dodgers for sure, in my opinion, their starting rotation is sick. Their relievers are sick, and then they also have three MVPs on their team. It's just a powerhouse that I just have a hard time betting against.
That's fine. When they lose in the first round, it's going to be hilarious.
Tyler?
Can I agree with Josh and Jordan at the same time? It depends. Are we talking regular season baseball? I trust the Dodgers.
I'm talking postseason, of course. What team are you trusting?
Then I trust
Dodgers.
the Phillies. They've been there. They
the
always
Phillies.
compete.
All right.
They're the toughest out of all of them. What do you mean? They've been to the two World Series in the last 3 years or last 2 years? I don't know. Every time the
Phillies didn't make it last year. They lost in Game 7 to the Diamondbacks at home.
That's a tough one. 2 of the last 3 there. 4? I don't know. It's the Phillies. Dodgers suck in the postseason. You know they'll blow it. They're the best regular season team. The Braves are like this mixture of being great in the regular season. They're getting on hot runs when their best players out. And then when they have everybody, they just lose in the first round. I don't know. If I'm talking strictly regular season, it's easily the Dodgers. They'll win 105 games because they play the Rockies too many times. And then the Phillies in the postseason with Wheeler and Raiders Suarez. And then Nola will have his magical game as well in the postseason. They'll also have bad games.
Ryan, I know. I have my fantasy
Nola will have a game.
I hear about that. Ryan, before I get to you, yes, I have a hard time with this one. Tyler, I'm sorry, I don't say people's name. Tyler, will he be Tyler Glass now? Will he be enough? Yes, I don't.
He said it right.
Because I don't say it now. I don't say it very right. There's like 38 names I don't say well at all.
Now do Imanaga.
Yeah, the guy. That's a tough one. I still can't do it. Just a little shout out to some of our people here. Susie, Logan, tuning out there. We got our Damon in here. Shane, we got you in here as well. So appreciate anybody tuning in here on the show. Ryan, your final thoughts on that? I mean, you're a Phillies fan, so obviously I get your mind. You want to trust your team, but obviously you are rational. I know this. So where are you at with it?
The Phillies. Well, for one, we've made the Braves our bitch the last 2 postseasons.
Whoa,
so they're not relevant.
Let's go.
I love it.
They can talk the talk, but if they can't walk the walk, then take a hike. But truthfully, it comes down to, I believe the Phillies have the 2 better Bs. They have a better bullpen and a better bench than the other 2 teams. And when you get into September, you get in October, you need those pieces, right? Who on the Dodgers bench or the Braves bench is better than Sosa, better than Clemens? Who are you calling in the 9th that's better than Alvarado, better than Hoffman, better than Kirkring? The answer is nobody on neither of those teams. So answering this question right now, it's the Phillies because they have better bullpen and better bench. And in September and October, that'll mean a lot.
What do you guys make of this? Do you see the Dodgers, Braves, or Phillies need to add any pieces that break? Ryan, what's your thoughts on the Phillies adding? Is it what do you say? Like when your team's great, whether they add a seventh inning guy, like is that where you're at with this team right now?
I mean, they could probably add a bullpen piece. I don't see any major moves coming. Truthfully, we still don't have that deep of a farm system, right? Painter's, going to miss a majority of the season. He had Tommy John last year. I don't think McAble's going to form into the prospect that everybody wanted him to be, although he's 21 years old, plenty of time to turn it around. I don't think that they're going to kind of do what they did, last year, 2 years ago, where they, sell big pieces in the farm for guys who are at the major league level. Because truthfully, I don't think they have that many holes to fill. So if they want to go get a bullpen arm, that's fine. But I don't see anything outside of that, unless an injury occurs.
Tyler, to answer Shane's question, if the Dodgers, I feel like every break you're like, F the Dodgers, because that's all they do is get they're like, oh, that star's available, let's make it. That's like Turner a few years ago, let's get him. Like, oh, that guy available, let's get him. So to me, that would be the team I would pick for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't know if Magic Johnson's even part of the team, but ever since they did that Hanley Ramirez trade, that didn't even work. But ever since then, it seems like whenever someone comes available, here's the Dodgers, we're going to go get them. And they'll go get the guy. They don't even need a position. And they'll be like, well, we can add him and we'll figure it out as we go. So, I would guess the Dodgers would go get somebody at some point. I think the Braves need to add a bullpen arm if we're going to be serious about this thing. Because their bullpen isn't good enough. They're just not deep enough. I think the Braves need to go get a good bullpen guy.
All right, I want to keep the show going here because I want to get everything in. I got Ryan for an hour and a half. I want to make everything happen. We got Jordan on here for an hour and a half. I want to make that happen. Tyler on as a guest as well. Appreciate you guys spending your evening with us. Seventh Inning Stretch, Variety Sports Network. Edwards, I'm going to let you go first on this one and then let you get back into the chat on stuff here as we got that going. How real are good starts from the Guardians, Royals, Brewers, and Cubs? Like, is there a team you're believing? Is there a team you're not like? How do you feel about these four teams in particular? There you go. What do you got?
I got more faith in the Royals and the Guardians than I do the Brewers and the Cubs.
All right.
It's just plain and simple. I think the Royals are probably the best built team out of those four. The Guardians are good. They're hot right now. I don't see it being sustainable for them. And I could be wrong because I just don't know enough about this team. They have a couple good, really, really good players. And outside of that, they got a manager I don't know anything about. I don't know the extent of his successful career. I don't know. I think the Royals are kind of where it's at. They got something to prove right now outside of just the game of baseball. They got something to prove to the city and to the fans in the area. The Brewers, I think the Brewers are having vengeance right now on they're pissy because they lost their manager, and their manager's over at with another team in the division and he's on their heels. So I don't know. I think the Cubs are going to do Cubs things. Like I said, the Reds were going to fall off. They're falling off. I've said the Pirates were going to fall off. They're falling off. I think the Cubs will probably fall off to an extent. I still think they got a chance to make the playoffs. I think the Brewers, it's their division to lose at this point. And I think the Cardinals are just in the middle of la-la land, to be honest with you. So I still think it's the Brewers and the Cubs that top the division. I just don't think they'll sustain where they're at. I think they'll end up settling at 85 or 86 wins by the end of the year. I can see the Royals winning 92 to 93. The Guardians could win 90. But I have more faith in those two AL teams over the two NL teams.
Jordan, what do you think? How real is that start from the Guardians? Is it real? Come on. Steven Vogt. I believe in Steven Vogt. I believe in Steven Vogt. Come on, let's go.
It's tough. It's tough because it's tough because they're doing really, really well. Their pitching's doing good. Their offense is kicking major ass right now. It's if they're able to sustain this start. I don't see it. I'm basically agreeing with everything that Josh has to say. Everything that he said is what I would like to say. The Royals are for sure the best team out of that four.
Bobby Witt, unreal.
The Cubs have already started their little descendants. Their pitching other than Emanaga's doing well.
He's been amazing, dude.
Oh,
he's been
insane.
Just phenomed.
He's insane.
I'd rather have him than Yamamoto.
And so when you have a Cubs that are already falling. Their bats are not doing good. Their starting rotation's not doing good, minus one guy. Their bullpen is not good. Cubs, no. I don't see them doing well. The Brewers, yes, mainly because they do this consistently for some stupid reason. I don't know what they're doing, but they're just winning games. Christian Yelich is looking like the young Christian Yelich all over again. Their starting rotation's looking good.
They don't even have Devin Williams in the back of the bullpen yet. Hopefully,
and he's gonna. And when he comes back, if he comes back looking like how we know he can pitch, shoot, it's a wrap. And so, truthfully, out of those teams, I would go Royals, Brewers, Guardians, Cubs.
All right, and the Cubs are. Ryan, do you feel the same way about the Cubs? I mean, Tyler, I feel like you were on last week saying. Go ahead, Jordan. If I cut you off.
And I'm just going to mention, I am not being biased. I'm just being completely upfront here.
That's all right.
I know I'm a Cardinals fan, but I'm just going based off of what I'm seeing. All right, continue.
I never picked the Lakers to finish last. No, that's never. No, I got you on that. Ryan, what do you got? What do you have with that? Your thoughts on it with those teams right there?
So I've been out of these 4 teams, all have been very impressive. I've been most impressed by the Brewers, and I say that because the Guardians and Royals and really the entirety of the AL Central has been an abomination for a couple of years as they've all been rebuilding, kind of building up to get to this moment. With the Brewers losing Corbin Burns to the Baltimore Orioles and then losing Brandon Woodruff for the season due to shoulder surgery, they're the only team on paper that has really gotten worse out of those 4 teams, and somehow they're still managing to stay afloat. So I've been most impressed by them, which is also why I feel like they're the least trustworthy, because outside of Freddie Peralta, I am, they're pitching all right. The offense has been fairly good with the addition of Rhys Hoskins. I'm not entirely sure that what they're doing is sustainable. I just don't believe they have the talent in the rotation to maintain a division lead there. But I got to give props to the Royals, man. I mean, the offense is absolutely booming, led by, guy who was a number 1 prospect at one point, Bobby Witt Jr. But I mean, difference between last year and this year, just the exponential growth that young man has had in his career to this point. Probably my favorite player to watch that doesn't wear red pinstripes, if I'm being honest.
That bomb he hit into the water the other day was at 437 or something
468 or something like that. It was crazy.
Yeah, he killed that thing.
Tyler?
I just trust pitching more than I'll trust hitting. So I think the Cubs with Manga and Assad, whatever the hell his last name is, and then Jacob Steele getting back healthy. I think he'll pick it up. And then what's the guy? The guy they got Talion's been good. I think the Cubs and the NL Central is so bad. Do I trust the Pirates? Do I trust the Cardinals? And I just think they're better than the Brewers. The Brewers, William Contreras and Yelich have been great, and Freddie Peralta has been good. But outside of that, I just trust the Cubs more. And then on the AL Central side, Bobby Witt's a son of a gun. He's one of the best players in Major League Baseball. But the Guardians have this special thing where they only have to play 8 innings. If they're winning after 8, Clase's shutting you down. And I still think Jose Ramirez, after he's had a down year, is still the best player in that division. Well, maybe not the division, of the 4 teams that we're talking about from the hitting side of the.
Let me ask you this, Tyler. If there's a runner on second base, you get my point? there's certain guys.
Clase is unbelievable. It's what I wish Camilo Duvall would be.
So for what it's worth, I think what the Guardians have done is also really impressive, because to lose Shane Bieber that early in the season, your bona fide number 1 guy. And I was just looking at it before the show. I think on the entirety of the 26-man roster, they have 4 guys that are above the age of 30. So that is a really young team. I expect them to kind of, build off of this. Will they flame out in August and September like every other young team in MLB history? Probably. But they'll build off of it.
No doubt there. And I just feel like the Guardians have this weird aura over this division, right? You know what I mean? They always seem to dominate it 5 out of 10 years. I don't know. It's a weird thing. They kind of and they don't even have the best roster sometimes, as we say, but they kind of manage their way through it. They have the best farm system a lot of the times, and then they have a star player in Jose Ramirez. I just feel like the Guardians are the team I trust the most. I don't know. I feel like Clase, I trust Jose Ramirez the most in the division, but I agree with you, Ryan. I feel like Bobby Witt is just, like you said, he might be the best player to watch. And something I kind of want to get into next year as we kind of move on from teams, as we kind of get into, what as I say, probably top of the 7th tier of the show, bottom of the 6th, guys, is this. And Ryan, I've heard you a lot on X bring this up a lot about the robot umps and I mean, you've engaged on it a little bit. Ryan, you're the guest. I want to get your thoughts on this part of it. Then we'll get to, I think we'll go to Jordan next after this. Ryan, what's your thoughts on the robot umps possibility? It sounds like Manfred said in 2025 it's not going to happen. They still have some kinks to work out. What's your thoughts on the robot umps here?
Kinks, right? Because to my knowledge, I have not heard of any of these kinks with any of the pitch challenges or robot systems in the minor leagues. Now, you guys may have heard of them. I may just be out of the loop, but I don't believe in the kinks. And I don't know if it's because of the emergence of these electronic systems or if it actually is this way. But I feel like over the last probably half decade or so, the balls and strikes calling in the MLB has just gotten worse and worse and worse. I mean, I feel like a few years ago we were at like a 97% accuracy for balls and strikes, and now we're kind of down to about 94. Now the umpire, association, the umpire union has to be the greatest union in the history to ever work for, because nobody ever gets reprimanded for any of the shitty games that they call. And it's incredible. So I feel like there's almost kind of like an MLB. I think the MLB is kind of afraid to almost make a move where it kind of shows up the umpires. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that there's kind of something going on around there with the umpires union and the MLB. Like I said, I haven't heard of any of these technical issues, and robot umps have been in the minors for 5 years now in some capacity. So when we start really talking about getting it to the majors, and this is the first light that we've heard of technical issues, I'm not really buying it. And I think that it needs something, pitch challenge, robot ump, something needs to be in the majors, because teams are losing games because of this stuff.
It's funny because I feel like you're really passionate about it. I don't mean obviously in the baseball sense, and you're not losing sleep over it, but that's what you're doing that with it. But Angel Hernandez is always the biggest example, right? Jordan is how does this man have a job? But when Josh brought up robot umps, I think what I mean, it's the same thing as he brought up was in the comments here, like tennis, like what they're doing in the minor league. Same idea. You're not wasting more than 5. Jordan, what's your thoughts on the robot umps? Now we'll get to Josh next, and we'll finish up with Tyler here.
So we can just use a up-to-date example. I was watching Pat McAfee show, and this was when Paul Skeens was still in Indianapolis, and he was being interviewed. The man literally said, "This is the best thing that's happened with baseball." and you ask a bunch of these AAA pitchers and these minor league pitchers, they all love the system because they don't have to worry about missed calls constantly that are like 3 inches off the plate. They get an instant, just like what Josh says with tennis. You get an instant answer, and it doesn't waste any time. You're still going to keep the flow of the game moving. All you have to do is just check to see where the ball landed, and you're set. And then it also reduces fans getting pissed off going on the social media, and then also limits the amount of managerial. Right? I say that right? Whatever. Ejections when it comes down to these horrible calls, because these umpires refuse to say, "No, I'm not wrong. You're wrong." It's just it just makes the game better, in my opinion. I want the robot umps as soon as possible because I'm tired of seeing these mistakes. And then also, since I am a Cardinals fan, going back to the Baltimore game that we had, there were so many missed calls, and Lars Nootbaar, out of all people, got ejected because of these bad calls. Like I don't care about the human aspect. I want a good game called. I don't care after that. That's my thoughts with robot umps.
Josh.
The umpires union is broken baseball, and that's the problem. I agree completely with what Josh Lewis said. We need replacement umps for a couple of years just to break the union. We didn't have this problem before the K-Zone was on the TV screen. Let's just be real. People complained about the umps. They complained about a call or two a game, and people moved on. It was part of baseball. It's always been part of baseball. Baseball is being ruined as we speak. You hear players all the time complaining about the pitch clock and the speed of the game. You hear fans are complaining about the speed of the game. You're at the game, you go to grab a beer in the third inning. By the time you get back, it's the bottom of the fifth. You're paying $75 to go watch a game, and it's over in 2.5 hours. That's not why I ever went to the ballpark. I went to the ballpark to spend the day at the ballpark.
But most people don't watch it at the ballpark anymore, right?
Get there early.
That's true, but I mean, that's true. They don't get to watch at the ballpark, but that's part of going to the ballpark. That's part of why you pay to go to the game. And the human element has always been part of the game. Why do we have to replace the umps? Why not just break the union and get better umpires? Like, why don't we hold the umpires to a better standard? Like, we have to break the union. That's just what this comes down to. I'm all for the challenge. I'm all for the challenge. Hey, the manager says no, and we'll use Newbar's example. Newbar got called out on 3 strikes that were all off the plate by more than 2 inches the other day. And yes, Marmol got ejected, and it's great because it fires the team up, because every time Ollie gets fired up and gets thrown out of a game, the Cardinals end up winning. That's just how it's gone for us this season. Yes, I'm 75 years old, Shane. Shove it up your pipe and smoke it. I enjoy the game for what it was and how I was raised. I mean, it just is what it is. You got to break the union. You got to break the. There's a way to break unions.
No, that's exactly what my thought was, Logan. I was like, wait, you said break up the union.
Unions have been broken before.
What does it hurt to gain 5.99% accuracy to just do this in the middle of the game?
I think Ryan.
How often are they going to have to do it though? With the amount of movement guys have on their pitches now, it's going to happen 4 times a batter.
That's fine. The umps will start getting calls right if something holds them accountable.
So let's have a relegation system. We have scorecards for the umps. Use the scorecards. If the ump, like Angel Hernandez, should have been relegated to double A.
Guys aren't up, right? There's a reason those guys aren't up. Angel Hernandez, that one, I agree with you, doesn't.
He needs to be fired.
Maybe Buckner. Yeah, they both should be fired.
Tyler, I want to get your thoughts on it. Then we'll get it right here.
Just give me a challenge system. That's all I need. Like, not unlimited. Give me like 10 a game. It takes 10 seconds max. Like we see tennis, we see like the Wimbledon or U.S. Open or French Open be decided with these challenges. No one has an issue there. Obviously, baseball is a little bigger sport in tennis than in America, but like, just figure it out. Have a little challenge system. We saw Paul Skeens do it in the minors. No one had an issue with it, even though they tell the pitchers not to challenge. They only want catchers to challenge, but that's beside the point. Just figure something out. And we need a commissioner who will grab his, this won't get family friendly for a little bit, grab his balls and do something. We haven't had one for 30 years. Give me a commissioner who will do something. Like, they all are conservative. They won't make a move. They just let the umpires, they let steroids, they let it go on until there's finally outrage. And I think it's up to the fans to actually have some outrage. And I don't know, will the umps make the fans not show up to games? I don't think it will. And that's where the issue is for baseball.
And Ryan, as Tyler said, we're having some technical issues. We'll round it out. That's where we started. Ryan, your final thoughts here on that, the umpire thing here.
Yeah, I actually agree with Tyler. You know, if you just want to implement something small, 10 challenges per team, you know, you don't got to challenge every pitch, but just something enough that, you know, the umpire's sitting in their back of the mind like, damn, I better get this call right, because if I mess around and the batter does this and I get it wrong, you know, oh boy, there's just nothing holding umpires accountable right now, and it's the Wild Wild West. You know, 94% correct calls may be like, damn, that's a pretty good rate. So you realize there's 250 pitches a game, and then 94% means you're missing about 15, 18 pitches every game. And then you're like, oh, damn, okay, maybe that's not a lot.
Please enjoy your tweets about it. Yes, Josh is actually 85, just to let somebody know. He's 85, not 75. He's 85 over there.
I look good for my age, by the way.
He's a little older than you thought. All right, Diamond Notes here with it. We're at the bottom of the 8th here. What do you guys think? Here's some of the Xander goes on the DL with the fractured shoulder. Jordan Mets, little Mets talk. Aaron, sorry, Mr. Diaz been pretty crappy. He says he's ready for it. He could change his role amid his struggles. Your boy Luis Gil there, Logan. He's off to a fantastic start for the Yankees. Who's Garrett Cole? Doesn't matter how good he's been. And then, of course, Skeens Media. Jordan, where do you want to Diamond Notes? Any of those stand out to you?
The Edwin Diaz one. So
Fuck
how
Diaz.
I know you're a massive fan of Edwin Diaz. And that's one of the main reasons why I wanted to talk about them, because I know how much you love the Mets. And I'm being sarcastic. And so do you think this has to go based off of his injury that he had during the WBC? His regression, because last year he was good, but he wasn't as dominant as he was the year prior.
I think
Closers are weird to me. I feel like they're. I don't know. You know what I mean?
He was
Like,
out for the season. My fault.
Yeah, I give up on closers early. Like I never. That's just how I personally feel. I feel like. I go ahead, Tyler. You next. I think you'll say
Haters had bad years though. Then you still thought, or not you thought. I don't want to like make this a big thing, but the haters had bad years, and we expected him to have that. And then he got hurt. Like I don't know. It's like I think there's certain closers you believe in even after a bad year. I wouldn't be surprised 2 years from now Edwin Diaz comes back and is unbelievable. I just think closers, it's hard to be consistent. There's not many Mariano Rivera's. There's not many guys who can do it year in, year out.
Being a closer is probably one of the hardest jobs in baseball, because your job is to close the game, end it, but then also once the game gets away from you, then you can't do anything about it. It just seems like he's in his head a lot, and then he's also not hitting the isn't his fastball slower this year than it was year prior? Yeah, he just needs to build that confidence back up. But that's like the biggest surprise for me personally. This out of all of those, out of the Dynamo notes that you have listed, mainly because I like Edwin Diaz a lot.
And the Mets fans were pumped about it. Tyler also at the bottom here has a few different ones. Pirates are going to put Barry Bonds number in the Hall of Fame. That's a little tidbit there for you as well. Anything stand out to you there with the Diamond Notes?
I mean, Luis Gil.
You saw Paul Skeens today against your Giants.
We actually did a little bit. We didn't look like the Cubs last game. We pitched. The Giants actually played good. I think Luis Gil is the story here. The Yankees just find these guys. You think they don't have pitching, and all of a sudden they pull up this guy who's a good prospect, but you don't expect him to be one of the best pitchers in the league, and he just shows up. And here we are. The Yankees are having a great year, and the pitching's leading the way. So like the Yankees and just find guys. I don't know. It's just an amazing thing that happens in baseball.
Josh, any final thoughts on Diamond Notes there?
Skeens had a down game, man. This game today, he was a little bit down. He wasn't as good as he has been the last two games. He only had 3 Ks.
What a loser.
He allowed an earned run. But he is – the thing I'm liking about it is – and this is something where I was wrong that I was worried about. And, Tyler, you were on both times I've said this. I was worried he wasn't going to be able to go in 5 and 6 innings. Well, he went 6 innings again. So that's good news for the Pirates. It's good news for baseball. It's good news for him. But only the 3 Ks this game. But the ERA is not elevating. So it's working out. We're seeing a progression with Skeens. I'm not going to say I have Skeens mania, but yes, I want to see him play a little bit more. I'm excited to see him pitch against the Cardinals because I'm sure he's going to shut them down. I want to see this splinker he's got. I haven't got to watch it very often. I want to get a little bit more of an eye on the splinker and see what he's really made of. I did watch a lot of his stuff when he was at the Indians that they were showing online. So I'm excited to see him. I want to see more growth out of him. I want to see 6+ strikeouts every time he's in the game with as much as he's been hyped up, because I feel like if he doesn't get at least a K an inning, if he's not averaging a K an inning, then I'm not getting what I was sold about all the hype about Skeens. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Sounds like the gyro ball.
That's what my image of it is.
I find it interesting that I feel like I don't even know what's his girl's name there from LSU too. What's her name as well?
Livy Dunn.
Livy Dunn.
I love how all the kids like they keep interviewing in Pittsburgh are like, yeah, we like Paul Skeens. It's like, yeah, but we like. It's like, oh, I remember going back to my 15-year-old age, 14. There's a reason that you like certain players for certain people they're with. I forgot about that part of my life.
There's multiple reasons why to like Paul Skeens.
Well, that's one apparently for younger generations. That's apparently one for one. I just find it funny. I'm like, all right, there's the teenager boy. Man, that's what we right. Yeah, put the ring on it. We got it. Yeah, Livy did that. She's they're interviewing her. She's obviously getting some good media along the way, as there was some notes with it. Any final thoughts, guys, with any of that stuff there?
Does Xander Bogaerts going down really end up hurting the Padres with the way Luis Arias is?
I mean, what 20 for his last 38 is
The guy's the closest thing to Tony Gwynn I've seen since Tony Gwynn.
Yep.
And that's
he is Tony Gwynn
disrespect,
reincarnated.
and I don't want to overhype him. He's been he just hits the ball where you're not. It's like slow pitch softball almost watching him play baseball.
He does.
It's
He's so
great
late
way
on
to
his
put it.
Ridiculous.
That is a great way to put it.
20 for 38. That's I think he's got 4 back-to-back 4-hit games, right? Like I think that's where he's at right now. He's like on the verge of breaking like multiple Padres records right now to start.
And he started the season off so poorly too. Because
Yeah.
at the beginning of the season, I was like, "What happened?"
He
And
was
yes,
batting like
just 'cause he was in
120
Miami.
at one point.
He was in Miami with no protection. I mean, I guess that's what it had to be.
You got to respect the Padres for just going out and making moves at least. Like they're constantly either selling or buying. They're just doing.
They go
something
for it.
at least. And they'll sell. They'll go full Florida Marlins at times or Miami Marlins, but then they'll go and all right, we're going to spend $200 million. I don't know. I just respect at least.
And none of it ever works out. And
You're right about that.
But at least they try. It's better than the Cardinals.
Susie,
I want to, an attempt.
Go ahead, Jordan. Good.
No, that's it. I was just ad libbing.
I was gonna say, well, Susie tuned in here, most beautiful LSU gymnast. Sorry, that got my attention. So I have to we have to. There's a reason some of the 7th grade boys that they talk about this young lady once in a while that I have as students. That must be the reason why. So Paul Skeed's out there with that Diamond Notes. All right, gentlemen, we're at the hour mark with it.
Wait, as far as the Diamond Notes go, because I guess I don't get a chance to speak.
Oh, sorry, Ryan. Sometimes it's been an hour show. I forget. Go ahead.
Yeah, I
corrected him on the grammar.
Yeah. By the way, I'm sure you purposely spelled Skeens that way, just for to make sure we get the right pronunciation. But obviously Paul Skeens, very, very hype prospect. There was a lot of, I remember the draft day because there was a lot of debate that Dylan Cruz did not go number 1 overall. His teammate from LSU, but nonetheless, Mark Pryor, Steven Strasburg, I get very scary vibes about Paul Skeens. His mechanics, so something doesn't add up there. So yeah, he's made it through a couple starts so far, going 6 innings. I am very weary of that inverted W windup that he comes to and the stress that it puts on his elbow. Long term, it's not looking great. So obviously never want to see a guy like that get hurt. It's great for baseball, but I do have my concerns moving forward about Paul Skeens.
Can I ask a question real quick? Ryan, I respect your opinion. I'm going to ask it anyway. But is it worth taking that dominant of a pitcher? Because Strasburg and Pryor both had like a couple years of being absolutely dominant. Would you still take that guy knowing that maybe he won't last, but you're going to get this like unbelievable dominance for a couple years? Or is it not worth it at that point?
I think it depends on where my franchise is. If I am the Pirates, absolutely, because they've been abysmal for some time now. They haven't had any like really franchise turning players since McCutcheon's prime. I think you have to go out and you have to take that risk. And if it does work out, fantastic. You get Skeens for a decade. Jared Jones obviously has developed, so far into being what looks like a fantastic, 1-2 punch. But I think, from the Pirates' eyes, you have to take that risk because he's going to sell tickets. He's going to fill the seats. And if, he brings the talent with him, fantastic.
Have you guys noticed ever since he got called up, we haven't heard anything about O'Neal Cruz or Brian Hayes?
That's because O'Neal Cruz is overrated.
Oh, you stop it. They'll figure it out.
And Brian Hayes, who's supposedly one of the best up-and-coming
Ellie De La Cruz is the best shortstop in that division.
Key Bryan is a straight
not
defender.
even close.
Can Ellie De La Cruz
massive.
even play shortstop is the real question. He shouldn't even be at shortstop if we're going to.
No, he shouldn't. He should be a third baseman.
Okay, thank you. Or even in center field. But
Ellie
Mason
is
Wynn
so
is the
good.
best shortstop in that division, easily.
Over
Who?
Swanson.
Mason Wynn.
That
What?
wasn't a homer take at all, but that's fine.
No, it's not. He's got the best arm and he's the best defensive shortstop in the NL Central
Swanson's
by
right.
far.
He's in your
yeah,
division.
Swanson's getting paid $150 million.
Yeah, but he's also.
It's
I'm
not. It's not
joking. I'm
Swanson.
joking. I'm
It's not
joking.
Swanson. It's
Yeah,
Ellie De La
Swanson.
Cruz is the
I'm
best.
joking.
Yeah. No
He
matter
can't
who
play
it is, it's not
defense.
Swanson.
He's the best overall. What do you mean?
You see, for you,
factory of
offense
that,
is
I
everything.
agree.
You don't ever take into defense into
I'm
account.
not even. No, I'm not even.
I
No.
love
I'm
Mason
thinking of
Wynn
everything.
defensively,
Yes,
but until he
Mason
throws
Wynn has
106 miles an hour across the diamond, he doesn't have the best arm in the division. I don't care.
Neil Cruz
Alright.
Mason Wynn has a better defense, but his offense does not match anywhere near what Ellie De La Cruz can offer.
Okay, is shortstop more of a defensive or offensive position in importance?
Nowadays, I don't know.
This
Yeah.
is our Yachty Buster Posey type argument
This is who can turn the better double play, who can cover more ground.
Where's Logan?
This is a scheme or Win is not in the conversation as best shortstop, right? I mean, I don't think. Am I
No, he's
wrong?
not.
I don't see how he could be in it.
He's the
Ellie
second
De La
best
Cruz
rated.
has like 40 stolen bases. We're not
Yeah,
even like 40 games into the
Yeah,
season. yet.
you're putting way too much emphasis on the defense and not putting enough on the offense. You have to
Okay.
do it evenly.
There's a
All right.
reason Jeter's in the Hall of Fame and Vizquel's not, Josh.
There's that.
Boom. That's a good one.
That's a good one.
Yes,
Jeter
there we
was
go.
overrated.
Absolutely.
I like Ryan.
Absolutely
100%.
Jeter is beyond overrated. He shouldn't be called the captain. He shouldn't be a Hall of Famer.
Well, the
You are
Yankees
starting
call
a
him the
fight that I
captain,
am
so
no
you can't do
longer a
anything.
part of.
But you know
Have
what
fun.
he had? A good bat.
But I love Ryan too. He finds all my grammatic layers. I like that too. He finds all of them on the show. Ryan over under of it 5. We got it. Josh. He's at 4 right now. We'll see if we get to one more by the end of the night. All right. Oh, that's the Vice.
I knew I'd get somebody going with that.
Jamarcus is a Yankee fan.
I heard Yankees the other year. MLB trivia here with it. We're kind of near the end of the show here with it. Gentlemen, all right, here we go. MLB trivia. Hint number 1, I played for 17 seasons on 10 different franchises and was a 2-time All-Star and won a NLCS MVP. I'll also give the hint. He also started in 1990. In the 90s is when he started. Late 90s is when he started his career. I figured none of you will get it after hit number 1, but I want to give you a little bit of a shot, maybe a guess out there with it.
Edwin Jackson. I'm joking.
Edwin Jackson is not.
I know it's
10
not.
different
I know
teams.
it's
That's pretty damn
Not a bad
close.
guess.
Can I guess before we?
Yeah, go ahead.
But Reggie Sanders.
Not Reggie Sanders. From 2003 to 2005, I led the National League in innings pitched and led the league in complete games. From 2003 and 2004, I finished my career with a win-loss record of 178 and 177. Like I said, he won a National League. He won a National League or an NLCS MVP. Excuse me.
What year was the NLCS again?
Well, I don't know if I want to give that clue away. I feel like that would make it a little too obvious.
Dang
there,
it.
so
Okay. Fair.
I can't give it away. I'll give it away on the next one. Let's put it that way. I'll give it on
Okay.
the next
Fair.
one. Ryan, I see you thinking up there. You guys do that.
Yeah.
I appreciate your show every week too. I tune in. You guys do the Immaculate Grid. You guys, I love that, watching that with you guys. Like you know a ton of these players. I got to give you credit.
And we have to do it on Saturdays, or else I would kick Bill's ass all across the yard, because on Saturdays it's just stat categories and no teams. So
yeah, you I've noticed that with you guys. So I've enjoyed that, watching your guys' show as you guys go through that. Your brain is always thinking with that, so it always gives me any guesses out there, gentlemen. We want to hit number 3. Yeah, I'm hearing a lot of
I have an
fighting.
idea. I have an idea, and I think I'm familiar.
This
Play
seems
for the
real
Astros?
like Levon Hernandez, fucking like that kind of tier type player, man.
Mr. I think you are right, sir. That is the answer.
Yeah.
It is Mr. Levon Hernandez.
Yeah.
That is the answer. Well done, sir.
Jesus.
Ryan,
That
I
was
brought it
impressive.
up because of you specifically, umpire umps. He had a special game in that NLCS against them, and let's see if I can find some of the strike calls here that were called.
Ooh. Good God.
So close, man.
Jesus.
Yeah,
And is
robot
that all it
umps are
takes to
not
win
needed.
NLCS MVP?
Just
I
a
could
bit
go out there and do
outside
that
on
shit.
some of
Who's
those
that
bad
ump?
boys. I thought that
Robot
retired,
umps are not
right?
needed.
well done.
Yeah.
I thought Ryan, yeah, exactly. Fred McGriff on that
God,
that
those are bad.
curveball. That curveball to Fred McGriff is the worst. It always will be. I don't know. That's
That thing was outside from the get-go.
Started out of the zone, ended out of the zone. Catcher
Little
couldn't
Eric
even bring it
Gregg.
back into the
Eric
zone.
Gregg.
Like,
That's strike.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
a bad out.
Charles
one-
Johnson was a great framer, though.
He was a great favorite. That was one of my
Well,
and I right
2003 would have been the Marlins, right? So that would have been Piazza.
yeah. Well,
No, that was 97.
97.
Oh, yeah,
he won
that was
the NL
97. Yeah, not 03.
Right.
Yep.
He actually won the World Series MVP that year as well, which is
Mm-hmm.
crazy to think about. So that's the type of run this guy had for a little bit.
Well, Christ, I'd have a run like that too if that was the strike zone that I was pitching for.
I didn't
Hold on, Levon Hernandez won World Series MVP.
That's why I think I spread it up on his when I looked at his baseball.
Oh, on the White Sox. No, was he on the White? No,
I think he's on the
No,
ball.
the Marlins
no, he never
second
won
run.
World Series MVP.
He said he was the only. He was also this. He was in 2009. He had played 12 seasons, not landed on the disabled list. I forgot. You know, he always started. That was like his thing. He always played. That's why he pitched so many damn years in the
On
league.
the Giants, he just 8 innings. He was terrible. He was a 4.5 ERA guy, but he pitched every freaking start.
He did do that for you guys with it. Josh, any thoughts on Mr. Levon? Do you remember Levon?
No.
You got it. El Duque's
I
half
was
brother.
too busy playing football at that point. I don't
El
remember.
Duque's half brother. How you got to get El Duque?
Don't ask me. I was five.
Jordan was
He was
5.
baby.
All right, MLB flashback
He
video.
won the 97 World Series MVP.
He did. That's what I thought. MLB stage here. Memorial Day weekend. Ryan, were you involved in the service in some way? I'm sorry. I feel like maybe you were. Oh, no?
7 years I was in the Air Force.
7 years in the Air Force. Thank you for your service,
Thank you for sure.
sir, for sure. 7 years with it. This moment, this is we did this thing today at our school where we did a different grades. We type USA stuff. Our 6th grade class ends it with this like flag salute to all the different branches in the military. So it's really cool. We kind of show pictures of all family members that were served in the military. So it's like kind of a cool little thing we do at our school every year. I felt like, I don't know, this is what I've had on the docket for a while. I know it's not 9/11, but like I just feel like this, as for me, it's just like a really cool like moment of like throwing out a first pitch and just something I remember. So that's
Colonial first pitch. And please welcome the President of the United States.
Hey, at least it's over the plate.
Oh, beauty.
I don't know, guys. That one just always
Angel
stands out
Hernandez
to me.
calls that a ball 10 times out of 10.
Angel Hernandez calls it a ball. He calls it a ball.
I feel like that was the last time in California it was okay to root for George Bush.
That definitely is for
Outside of that, it was he's the devil. But that was a great throw.
There's nothing right. I don't know, like how you feel. You're in that military. I have no family ties to that, but like I still get chills if I hear a USA chant. Like, you know what I mean, with like some like purity there. There's nothing that jacks me. It's weird. Like that does jack me up like ton.
I remember laying on the couch watching the Phillies game when Osama bin Laden was announced killed, and the whole Citizens Bank Park just started shouting USA, and I didn't understand why. Like I could hear it over the TV, and it took them like a minute to tell us like what was going on. I was like, oh snap, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I remember
like the birth of the cell phone, like the first important moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, like politics thing wise, like that doesn't even matter with this thing. That was just a cool moment for like. It was just like one of those moments you remember there. That obviously 9/11 is obviously a lot different than that, but I feel like with guys from Jordan that do VSN, he was a Marine on our network as well. Like really cool weekend to think back about those things and the people that really did give their life for things that we get to do, silly things like this. So pretty crazy at the end of the day. Ryan, that's the end of our show. Thank you, my man, for taking the time to join us this week. Talk a little Phillies talk this week. Appreciate you taking some time out of your evening to do it.
Yeah, I appreciate the invite. I'm always willing to come on with you guys. Schedule permits, but yeah, it's always a good time coming on the show. I appreciate the invite.
Well,
Jordan,
you can always, if you ever feel the itch, you just kind of text us and let us know, and we'll work you in, buddy.
Absolutely.
You don't have to wait for the invite.
Yeah, so if the Phillies start losing like 8 out of every 10, don't expect to hear from me for a while.
I'll have to bring you on for sure on that.
You jinxed them.
Jordan, thanks for taking some time too, my man. Glad we got the audio to work. Prime Jordan there. Thanks for taking some time to join us as well here on a Thursday night, 7th inning stretch edition. And Tyler McGirt. Yep, no doubt. Tyler McGirt, appreciate you taking the time too, man. I know you got your new thing, Sports for Slurgoat, on there as well, giving your little insights, 10-minute thing. So appreciate you taking the time. Your Giants, we didn't get into any Giants talk tonight too much there, but appreciate you taking the time to do it. You had a big win tonight against the Pirates there as well. Josh Edwards, another good show as well tonight. Tonight here on 7th inning stretch. Ryan, as I always say, I'm going to get you on for a couple of months for my grammatical. It was so funny, man. Like me and Josh literally talked about it. You're on fire with it. It worked perfectly as well tonight. So I appreciate you greatly taking the time to do it. It worked well. Tyler, appreciate you taking the time to do it. Jordan as well. Josh Edwards, we'll see you next week. 7th inning stretch, people. Peace.